Welcome to a mini guide to create spine poetry, digital edition. This workshop is presented by Community Word Project and will be facilitated by teaching artist Jay Howard. I am a poet and writer from the Bronx, and I really like to use the lived experience as the ultimate teaching tool. What I also love to do is use imagination as a source to create words. I like to find my source of words sometimes from the things that are around me. I sometimes find that we have a lot to say, but might not have necessarily the right words. Today we will be doing an activity that will help us to tell a story or a poem by using words that we find around us. Today we will be exploring spine poetry. A spine poem is a type of found poetry where book titles are weaved into the theme and idea of your poem. So with spine poetry, we are simply just looking at books and looking at the spine of the book. The spine of the book is the edge of the book. It is where you would find the title on the side, right? So we have the front cover, the back cover, and we also have the spine of the book where the titles are. And with spine poetry, we are simply just stacking books to tell a story. Found poetry is poems made up of words from other sources. So again, the word is found, right? So we find these things around us. Spine poetry is an example of a found poetry. Today, we are using found poetry in a way where book titles and the spines of the books are the elements that we are using to tell our own story. For spine poetry, you don't have to come up with the words. You simply arrange the found titles to create your own text. You can try your hand at creating a spine poem from a bookshelf, any bestseller list, a scholastic reading list, a list of recommended books from your friends, or of your list of your favorite books. Today, we will be exploring those various ways you can create spine poetry. That is, if you have physical books in your possessions, you can create spine poetry by stacking those books. Or, like me, sometimes I would like to use books that I don't currently have. So, I have a template today that we can use where we can find covers that we truly enjoy and really download them and tell a story through spine poetry by writing out those text titles. So spine poetry can come either way. If you have the physical copy, or if you don't have that and you want to use a reading list like I often tend to do and just use the titles and write them down. First example that I would like to show you of what a spine poem looks like is what you see there. There is my example of a spine poem. For me, as I was creating my spine poem, I used the theme of what is writing to me, or what was writing to me when I was younger. So for me, what is writing? Inside my pencil, wishes, lies, and dreams, brutal imaginations, and the palm of your hand, the art of fiction. That is my spine poem. And as you see, you don't really need to use a lot of book titles. You can simply just use about 4 or 5 titles to tell a story. Or if you want, you can use more books as well. Where do we find and how do we create spine poetry? A brief timeline, history, and examples of some spine poetry. I will show you a few examples of some spine poems that I found and some that have inspired me. One is from Nina Kachadorian, who used a project called the Sorted Book Project back in 2001, where she was able to look at different library stacks from different libraries across the world, one in Akron, Ohio, and kind of just simply stacking those books to tell a brief story or make a brief statement or express a sentiment. The first one is Primitive Art, and as you see, the first book that was used is the title of the story. Primitive Art, just imagine Picasso raised by wolves. So as you see, there's a play on what is primitive art. If there was a well-known person, Picasso, being raised by wolves, is that primitive art? Or is that something that is innate within us? So these are things that were challenged or questioned in that story itself. We also have optimism. Optimism, life doesn't frighten me. When things fall apart, super immunity, that's the way I see it. Spine poems can be quick, they can be witty, they can be a conversation with something you truly love or enjoy, or it can just be something that's funny. So there are a lot of different things that you can do with spine poetry. One again is Cinderella by Nina Kachadorian and Inspiration Sandwich, which is one of my favorites. So as you again see, there's some playful titles, some are children's books, some are different books that kind of just express different food sentiments and created a sandwich of inspiration. Another one is Maria Popova from Brain Pickings. It's a website that encourages positive thought and different thinkings. One of the ones Maria Popova did in 2012 is called Instant Love. And for this one, as you see, the title of the text is actually the last book that is there. After you talk to me, everything sings, everything is illuminated, instant love. A second one, I live in the future and here's how it works. People waste and want everything in pursuit of the unknown. I want to share another example that I created where I'm just using book titles just to create a playful statement or, just to have fun. So this one for me is called Signs of Resistance. Signs of resistance between the world and me, a raisin in the sun, milk and honey, the sun and her flowers, love poems, little fires everywhere. So for me, this is a mix of books that I'm currently reading that I have, one that I've used in the classroom this year, and again, some poetry books and different things. So use the books that you have and just have fun with them. So really, what is the process? I want to unfold the process of how do we create a spine poetry. And it simply starts with you browsing your own library or searching a collected list of book titles. Once you do that, you just start with 1 to 2 titles that really speak to you. You find that one title, you would put that at the top, and then try different combinations and orders to create a brief poem, story, sentiment, and statement. It doesn't have to be long. Your poem should be a minimum of 4 to 5 books in length. After you have that first title, start adding in complementary titles, right? Titles that you might think work well with it, or kind of a title that might weave off the next title. When you have your right order, 4 to 5 books in length, maybe more if you want to tell a longer story, you can just take a picture of that and save it, write the lines down to save your poem. So again, simple process for creating a spine poetry. Browse your library collection, start with 1 to 2 titles that really speak to you, try different combinations, stack about 4 to 5 poems in length, maybe more, take a picture, write your poems down, share, and send it. Our prompt challenge for you is to try creating your own spine poems from your own books or from a curated list of books. To help you, I put together a different recommended book list from Time magazines that explores the 100 best young adult books of all times. New York Public Library has different book lists that they put out each fall and spring for teens. The Zora Canon has the 100 greatest books ever written by African American women. I encourage you just to look at one of the lists, browse different ones, and just use the list there to create your own spine poems. If you would like to download the template, you can use the interactive list from the recommended book list, download this template and work with it through a program called Canva, and you can interact with it. From those book lists, you can download those coverage, just simply save them. And in Canva, you can actually drag the image over the picture icons and it will save. As you see to the right, I took a shot at it. I've used one of the book lists below. And I simply just downloaded some of those coverage, dropped them over the picture icons to start writing my very own spine poem, and then wrote the text into the right. Again, this is what your template will look like. It will be blank. You are simply just dropping in the book covers that you are saving off these book lists, or even just your own favorite books that you might enjoy. If you got poems, let us know. Tag us with the hashtag SpinePoemsCWP and share it with us at Community Word Project. We would love to see some of the spine poems that you are creating. We will also have a Google form that you can submit your spine poems, and we'll be sharing out some of the ones that we come across. So again, if you have the physical copies of books, you can stack those books together and take a picture and share that spine poem with us. Or if you want to use a book list or use a list of your own favorites, use the templates, write down the titles, save the covers, and drag them over the picture icons and share them with us. I look forward to seeing and reading many of your spine poems, and have fun creating.